Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we sift through sources, find the key nuggets, and get you well informed fast.
Hmm.
Today, we're diving into something really critical for any organization: strategic communication.
Absolutely vital.
We've got a great piece here from CEO World Magazine by Fotis Pantopoulos. He's a communication specialist or researcher, and it really lays things out well.
It's a solid foundation for our discussion.
So, our mission today. Let's unpack what strategic communication really means. Why it's not just a buzzword,
Right.
why it's so fundamental for success, and maybe most importantly, how you can start thinking about applying it in the real world.
Yeah, whether you're leading a team or just, working on a project.
Exactly.
What often strikes me is how communication gets sidelined, right?
Right.
Treated like an add-on after the big decisions are made.
That's so true.
But this deep dive, I think it'll show you it's actually foundational. It's integral to hitting those big organizational goals. It really is all about being intentional, super intentional with every message.
Intentional. Okay, I like that framing. So if we strip it down, the article defines strategic communication as a process. Organizations use it to intentionally manage relationships between themselves and their key publics. What does intentionally manage actually mean here? It sounds like more than just, sending emails.
Oh, definitely. It's way more than just informing. The goal is consciously influencing how these groups, customers, employees, investors, the community,
Right.
how they think, how they feel, and ultimately how they behave towards the organization and what it's trying to achieve. It's mission. It's about specific outcomes you want, not just like noise.
Got it. So purposeful, not random, designed to shape perception, maybe even action.
Precisely.
So what are some of the core strategies then that organizations use to get that kind of purposeful influence?
Well, the article points to three main ones. First, it's about developing and actively maintaining good, strong relationships with those key groups.
Okay, relationships first.
Second, you've got to create and send out messages that aren't just clear, but really aligned with the organization's bigger goals.
Alignment. Yeah.
And third, and this is critical monitoring and evaluating if those communications are actually working. Are they hitting the mark?
That third one, the monitoring and evaluating, that really screams strategic to me. But hang on, before you even write a message or plan anything, what's the article say is the absolute first step, the foundation?
It really boils down to empathy. Understanding, basically.
Empathy. How so?
The absolute first step is to deeply understand your publics. Know what they care about, what are their needs, what motivated them, maybe even what frustrates them.
Okay, really digging in.
Yeah, and once you have that understanding, then you can craft messages that actually resonate, that land, and just as importantly, choose the best channels to reach those specific people.
Makes sense.
You wouldn't talk to a brand new customer the same way you'd talk to a 20-year employee, right?
Absolutely not. Different context, different needs. It's that old know your audience thing, but maybe deeper.
Exactly. Deeper.
So, moving to the why. Why do this? The article lays out some clear core goals for strategic communication. What are those main objectives?
Yeah, it boils down to three big ones, really. It's about building strong relationships, like we said.
Right.
It's about managing change effectively. That's huge. And ultimately, it's about achieving the organization's overall business objectives.
Okay, build relationships, manage change, achieve objectives. Can you expand a bit, especially on managing change? That feels so relevant today. Everything moves so fast.
It really does. Well, for building relationships, it means crafting messages that aren't just slick, but genuinely connect with people's values, their concerns.
Okay.
For managing change, this is where it's just vital. You have to communicate clearly why the change is happening, the rationale, and also the practical steps, the how.
The why and the how.
Yeah. Think about a company going through a big merger or restructure without clear, constant communication. Rumors fly. Morale just tanks.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that happen.
So strategic communication prevents that. And then achieving objectives just means making sure every single communication effort, from internal memos to big ad campaigns, directly supports the main business goals.
So communication isn't just a side department.
Absolutely not. It should be a strategic partner in the business.
Interesting. Now, the article also mentions three types of communication briefly: interpersonal, interpersonal, and mass communication. Why are all three important for organizations, and what do they really mean here?
That's a great question because it gets at layers people often miss. Interpersonal.
Yeah.
It's not just self-talk. In a company context, it's like the internal story each employee tells themselves about the company, their belief in the mission, their role.
Ah, okay. The internal mindset?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if that's negative, it affects everything. Interpersonal is your direct interactions, one-on-one, small teams, team meetings, manager check-ins, that sort of thing. That's where trust and alignment are built or broken daily.
Right. The face-to-face or Zoom-to-Zoom now.
Pretty much. And mass communication is what most people think of first, the big stuff. Public announcements, marketing, PR.
Got it.
The article stresses that using all three effectively is essential. Why? Because if one is weak, it can totally undermine the others.
Ah, so.
Well, you could have a fantastic public image from your mass communication, right? Great ads. But if your employees are disengaged inside, that's the interpersonal, or teams can't work together, the interpersonal,
Yeah.
then the whole thing starts to wobble. It makes managing change way harder and hitting those big goals much less likely.
That makes perfect sense. The internal reality has to match the external message.
Precisely. Consistency across all levels.
So let's zoom out again. What does all this mean for, say, the bottom line, the overall health of an organization? The article lists some pretty powerful benefits.
Yeah, it really connects the dots. At its core, strategic communication is this ongoing process. It's about aligning every single communication activity with the organization's main business goals.
Alignment again. Seems key.
It is. And it's not a separate function doing its own thing. This alignment, it has to start with a really clear understanding of the organization's mission, its core values, who its target audiences actually are, and what its key messages need to be. Crystal clear.
And I'm guessing it's not a one-and-done thing either.
Definitely not. The article really hits this point hard. It's an ongoing cyclical process. You have to regularly evaluate how effective your plans and programs are.
Keep checking in.
Yeah, and be ready to make adjustments. What worked 6 months ago might be totally off now, especially with how fast things change.
True. So when an organization does get this right, what are some of those direct, maybe even measurable benefits the article talks about?
The list is pretty impressive, actually. It can directly lead to increased sales and market share.
Right.
Why? Because customers trust you. They choose you.
Okay, tangible results.
It enhances customer satisfaction and loyalty. People stick around because the experience feels consistent, positive.
Makes sense.
Internally, it's huge, too. It helps attract and retain top talent.
Yeah.
Good people want to work for organizations that communicate well.
Yeah, absolutely.
It improves employee engagement, which boosts productivity. It also increases overall efficiency because everyone's pulling in the same direction. They know what's going on.
Less confusion, less wasted effort.
Exactly. And it can even reduce costs, think fewer mistakes, less rework, and critically, it helps mitigate risk. You can manage potential crises much better if you have strong communication channels already set up.
Wow, that's a lot. It really touches almost every part of the business.
It really does.
Yeah.
Which, makes you wonder, what part of a business isn't impacted by how well it communicates?
That's a great question. Okay, so for organizations listening, thinking, right, we need to do this better, how do you actually build a strategic communications plan? The article outlines some general steps, some best practices.
Yeah, and it acknowledges there's no single magic formula, right? Every organization is different.
Sure.
But there are some universal best practices.
Yeah.
4 main ones. First, you absolutely have to define your target audience rigorously. Who are you actually trying to reach so your message resonates?
Know the audience, step 1.
Step 2, establish clear, measurable objectives. What does success look like? How will you know if you've achieved it? You need metrics.
Right. It can't just be vague goals.
Exactly. Third, identify your key messages. What are the core, concise points you need to get across? And make sure they align with those objectives you just set.
Concise and aligned. Okay.
And finally, number 4, develop a detailed plan of action. This is the how. Which specific channels will you use? For which messages? When?
The tactical plan. Got it. You mentioned channels. The article actually gives some concrete examples, doesn't it, for something like a loyalty program?
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good way to illustrate using multiple channels effectively. A multi-channel approach. It mentions 3 specifically.
Okay.
Email. It calls this the most efficient means of mass communication. Good for complex messages. You can include media, reach a lot of people, think detailed updates, newsletters.
Right. The workhorse.
Then SMS, or text messages, framed as more personal. It's direct, one-to-one. Great for time-sensitive messages because people see them almost instantly, like a flash sale reminder.
Quick and direct.
And third, in-app notifications. If you have an app, this is a great way to reach customers right when they're engaged. Good for updates, new features, maybe even relevant ads. It diverts their attention, as the article puts it.
Catching them in the moment.
Exactly. The key is using each channel for what it does best, not just blasting the same message everywhere.
That makes so much sense. Tailoring the channel to the message and the audience. So if we pull all these best practices together, what are the absolute essential mechanisms, the core pillars of any good strategic communications plan?
Well, the article sort of boils it down to 4 essentials. First, define your core messages and values. Make sure everything, internal, external, speaks with one consistent voice.
Consistency is key.
Second, do your homework. Conduct extensive research to truly understand your audiences so you can tailor everything perfectly.
Research, okay.
Third, set those clear, measurable objectives, and then pick the most effective tactics and channels to hit them. Be strategic about your choices.
Measurable goals, smart tactics.
And finally, and we keep coming back to this, remember, it's not static. Regularly evaluate how the plan is working and make adjustments. It's a continuous loop. Learn, adapt, improve.
That feedback loop seems absolutely crucial. Okay, last big area. The article talks about the benefit of actually releasing the plan, putting it out there. Why is that so useful? What does it do for public image and relationships?
It's an interesting point. Releasing a well-developed plan, it says, can be an excellent way to significantly improve your organization's public image and relationships with key stakeholders.
Just putting the plan out there helps?
Apparently so.
Yeah.
It's like a public declaration of intent. It shows you've thought things through.
So if a company decides to do that, to release their plan, what do they really need to nail down first? What are the critical things to consider?
Good question. You need to be super clear on a few things. First, what goals are you hoping to achieve just by releasing the plan itself? Building trust, attracting investors, something else.
Okay, the goal of the release.
What are the key messages you want to communicate about the plan? Not just the plan's content, but the fact you have a plan.
Right.
Who's the target audience for this release? Is it employees, investors, the general public? What channels will you use to announce it? Press release, social media, internal town hall, maybe a mix.
Choosing the right channel again.
And really importantly, how will you measure the success of the release itself? What metrics will tell you if it landed well?
Measuring the impact of the announcement.
Exactly. What's really interesting, though, is that the plan itself helps you focus efforts, allocate resources, track progress internally. We've covered that.
Yeah.
But just the act of releasing it, showing you've done the strategic work, you're intentional, you have a roadmap, that simple act can build a lot of goodwill and trust.
Transparency.
Exactly. It demonstrates a commitment to being transparent and communicating effectively. And that, in itself, is incredibly valuable.
So wrapping up, today we really dove deep into strategic communication, thanks to those insights from CEO World and Fotis Pantopoulos. And I think we've seen it's really not just what you say, it's how intentionally you say it, who you're saying it to, and understanding the why behind it all.
Yeah, it's like building a bridge, right? Not just shouting across a canyon.
That's a good way to put it.
It's definitely a powerful process. It's dynamic. It helps build those vital relationships, navigate change, which is constant, and ultimately hit those big organizational goals.
Yeah.
It really comes down to that cycle. Understand your audience, align your messages, evaluate constantly, and adapt.
Well, we certainly hope this deep dive has given you a useful shortcut to getting well-informed on what is clearly a crucial topic.
Absolutely. And maybe here's a final thought, something for you, the listener, to chew on. Think about an organization you really admire, maybe one you're loyal to, or whose brand you trust. Okay? How do you think their strategic communication maybe subtly, maybe obviously played a role in earning that trust or loyalty? And then maybe flip it. How could you apply some of these ideas, understanding your publics, tailoring your message in your own life, your own work, or even personal interactions?
That's a great question to ponder. Food for thought.
Definitely.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive.